Alright, everybody, let's continue on with 1998's Bride of Chucky, directed by Ronnie Yu, who went on to direct Freddy vs. Jason, who I'll never forgive him for not bringing Kane Hodder back to play Jason in that movie. Like, that was such a crime to not have Kane Hodder play Jason fighting Freddy Krueger. I'll never forgive Ronnie Yu for that. But I will give him praise for this movie because this is such a fun watch, man. I had such a fun time rewatching this movie. Like, this obviously is where this series just completely went off the rails. Like, you have to suspend all disbelief. I mean, obviously with the whole series, it's a fucking doll that comes to life. It's all ridiculous, but you can explain it away just like with anything in a movie, like with just magic. That's the reason. Like, how the hell can this happen? It's magic. And that's the coverall for everything. And here, voodoo covers everything. But just the ridiculousness of this movie. And Seed. Like, I don't know how anybody can love this movie and then hate Seed of Chucky. Like, it's like with 3, I see a lot of people who put 3 also as their least favorite, like I do. But Seed of Chucky is fucking hysterical, man. And it's like the same type of humor, it's the same like ridiculousness throughout the whole movie and over the top, just like this movie, same exact style. So I don't get the people who love this movie and shit on Seed of Chucky. I really don't. Like, it's like, I consider this franchise like 3 different chapters. Like, we have the first 3 is like Andy Barclay's story, and then we have this in the next one that's more like Jennifer Tilly's story, you know, Tiffany's story and everything, the 2 of them. Then we have Nika's story with the cult and curse and cult of Chucky, and the TV series just ties everything together. So I look at it that way, like in 3 different like chapters in a story. But let's talk about Bride of Chucky. We got, obviously, Brad Dourif. We have Jennifer Tilly, who is so good in this role, man. Like, they were so lucky that they cast her, because she just plays her role as Tiffany perfect in this movie. And in the next one as herself and Tiffany, and the rest of the movie and the TV show that she's in, too, that they brought her back for. Like, she's just so good. I love Jennifer Tilly. And we have Katherine Heigl, I never know how to say her name. She does good in this. Like, and then she went on to do a lot of comedies in the 2000s that I really don't care about. But she's good in this. And we have even John Ritter, who plays her uncle and stuff, Kincaid, the detective. So there's a lot of faces in this. And there's a lot of horror references in this movie, too. Like, it's awesome. Like, this takes place a month after Child's Play 3, which, as I said in the video for that, like, it kind of just worked out great. That they had that time jump from 2 to 3 being 8 years. So then this movie came out like 8 years almost, like right after 3, and it just synced up perfectly, like with the timeline and everything. Really worked out in their favor. So we have the opening scene with the evidence room and everything, and there is so much stuff in there. There's Michael Myers masks. There is, well, Michael Myers' mask in there. Jason's mask is in there. Leatherface's chainsaw is in there. Freddy Krueger's glove is in there. Even the crate from Fluffy's crate from fucking Creepshow is in there. So, like, this all, I guess, is in the same universe. So, and apparently these cops, like, have all of them, like, in lockup or something. Could you imagine that? Like, just all of them in a holding cell together. Leatherface, Jason, Michael, and Freddy. And Fluffy. Dude, that would be so funny. Like, I would love to see that scene. Like, it would basically just be Freddy, like, wisecracking and shit, and be like, no answers from the rest of them, because they don't talk. Are you guys even listening to me? Like, dude, I would love to see a scene like that. That would be fucking hysterical, man. But we get all those nice little references in there, but I don't know how any of it makes sense, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, none of this matters. Like, logic is just out the window completely, and it is so fun. We meet Tiffany, and we know that she's a crazy fuck right from the beginning, when she's slitting the fucking Officer Bailey's throat after he gets Chucky's remains and stuff from the evidence locker. which is awesome. And what a great opening credit scene, man. We got Rob Zombie's Living Dead Girl, which I fucking love White Zombie and his first few solo albums, and that's one of my favorite of his solo songs and stuff. Living Dead Girl is great. Playing through the whole credits, and we have the news clippings about Charles Lee Ray and everything, and then we have Tiffany stitching Chucky back together and everything. Such a great opening credits, man. Like, so good. This movie has, like I said, Child's Play 2 is my favorite in the franchise, but this movie has some of my favorite lines, some of my favorite scenes, a lot of favorites in this movie. My favorite scene is in Seed of Chucky, but we'll talk about that after this. And she has Damien and stuff, which they actually wrote, Mancini wrote that role for Marilyn Manson. And he turned it down, he didn't want to do it. So they got the guy who played, I can't remember his name, Arquette, Alexis Arquette, and they got him instead. But it was written for Marilyn Manson, especially when they show like the picture of him like on the news after she kills him, Chucky kills him and everything, and they show like his picture that how we saw him, and then they show like an old picture, and he just looks like a complete nerd, like totally different and everything. That's so funny. And the spider that falls on his face, like it's CGI. I mean, it doesn't look good. Like they really couldn't just put a real tarantula or spider on this guy's face for like a 3-second, 4-second shot. Like, I mean, I guess if the guy was deathly afraid of spiders, but then like, dude, you're in a Child's Play movie. You're with Chucky. Like, it's an iconic fucking franchise at that point, '98. With the first 3 movies, you really wouldn't like go there and do that and have a spider on your face for a few seconds just to make it more realistic, so they didn't have to use a CGI spider like inserted in there. Like, dude, if I was able to be in a Child's Play movie, I'd do whatever the fuck they want me to do. Like, seriously, he wouldn't have a spider on his face. That whole bedroom scene with Damien and her tying him up, chaining him up to the bed and everything, and then talking about Chucky and sitting Chucky on his stomach and everything like that, and they're just talking, and she's saying how jealous that Chucky would be, that he used to be, and that if somebody even looked at her, he'd like go fucking crazy and kill him. Then his head turns around, and Exorcist style, obviously, and fucking just rips his fucking mouth ring or whatever out of his lip, and fucking blood comes everywhere, and he starts smothering him with the pillow and sits on top of it, and then they're just like chatting nonchalantly as we hear him screaming in the fucking background, Damien under the pillow, and Chucky's just sitting there, and they're like, so how you been? Like, they're just so casually, which just shows like how psychotic these two fucking people are. That they're just sitting there, like they're not, like Chucky's not just like smothering the shit out of somebody right now, and they're just like, casual conversation and stuff. This movie's so fucking funny, man. This movie's so great, and the whole nickname of Needle Nose for the prick cop and stuff like that follows him everywhere, and is trying to fucking ruin these people's lives because he gets paid extra by John Ritter's character and everything. Fucking Needle Nose. That's so funny. I love when she says that she never took the ring off Tiffany and stuff, and that I found next to the bedside and stuff the day that you got killed and everything. And she's like, what, you weren't going to ask me to marry you? And he's like, what, you fucking nuts? And then he starts cackling with his just iconic laughter. Brad Dourif at this point. Oh man, I love Dourif so much. I keep saying it in all these videos, and I'm just gonna keep saying it. He's a fucking genius. And then Tiffany's like, again, like, just shows how fucked up she is too, and psychotic. How she's laying in bed fucking crying and stuff, and she's fucking laying, she pulls the pillow off of Damien and rolls over. She's laying right next to his fucking dead body in the fucking bed. It like doesn't faze her at all. Like, absolutely hysterical. Chucky in a playpen playing with a speak and spell is hysterical. Like, that's something that, like, seeing the first 3 movies, you would never expect to see something like that. Like, just Chucky in a playpen playing with a speak and spell. How do you spell woman? And he types in bitch. That's incorrect. Like, no, that's so funny, man. And then the whole scene too with when she's watching in the tub when Tiffany's watching Bride of Frankenstein and stuff on the TV. And she hears the line and stuff like, "We belong dead," and everything. And then Chucky comes in, he tries to stab her, and he pushes the TV in and electrocutes her. And the face of the Bride of Frankenstein is screaming, like, as she's screaming and everything. And then, like, the bubbles and stuff come floating down around Chucky as he's, like, standing there. Awesome. Like, it looks so good. What a great scene, man. This movie is so well shot and so well made. Like, it's just a great movie to look at and watch. Like, it looks so good. The editing in this movie, the cinematography, everything is great about this movie. Like, I think this is the best looking and best made Chucky movie, or Child's Play, whatever you want to call it at this point, because there's no children in this movie. And I think that's obvious, is why they changed the title and didn't make it Child's Play 4 and stuff, because now it's all about Chucky. Like, there's no kids no more. There's no Child's Play. Like, this is all Chucky from here on out. So it makes sense that they changed the name. The Heart of Damballa and everything, that makes no sense to me. He says that they need it to transfer their souls into Jade and Jesse's characters and stuff. But we saw in the first 3 movies, he tried doing that to Andy twice. He tried doing it to Tyler in 3. There was no fucking amulet that he needed. You just have to say the chant, and that's it. And of course, like, anytime you have a movie that you come out with that you don't expect to be a franchise or anything like that, you can't plan for anything in the future because you have no clue that it's going to take off like this. So, like, but they still do a good job, like, with continuity and stuff. Like I said, it's just the way that it turned out, being the 8 years later that this movie came out and synced up with the timeline and everything. But that whole thing, and you can explain that away too, that when he says that he died with the amulet around his neck, and they show a picture and stuff like that. We don't see it in the first movie, but it could have been, like, under his shirt or something like that, and then the picture was taken, like, after he died, and when he died, it came out of his shirt or whatever. So you can explain that away, but needing it to do the spells and stuff like that, and the chance to, like, move their souls into bodies, like, that doesn't make sense, because he never needed that before. So I don't know if maybe we just explain it away that there's 2 of them now, so you need the amulet for more voodoo power, or just whatever. Voodoo covers everything in this movie, and then everything else. It just completely it's a coverall for everything. Just whatever doesn't make sense, voodoo, magic. Reminds me of Hatchet too. I love when she calls after she gets turned into a doll, and she calls Jesse to do her the favor of taking the 2 dolls to Jersey. And she's like, "I do it myself, but I'm with a friend who's mentally incapacitated." That's such a great line, man. There's so many good lines in this movie, like, absolutely. And just the whole banter, because if I had to, like, quote every line, we'd be here forever. Just the whole banter between Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif. Just the chemistry that they had just doing the voice acting for this movie and the next one, and it's so good, like, absolutely hysterical. Like, I couldn't think of somebody better to play Tiffany and stuff than Jennifer Tilly. Like, just the way that her and Brad Dourif work off each other and everything is hysterical, and it's so funny. It's so just engaging to listen to, man. Like, if they had a podcast together, like, as the characters, as Chucky and Tiffany, I'd listen for hours to them just going back and forth. Are you serious? Like, that's fucking gold right there. Like, absolutely awesome. And, like, and then when they say they're going to get married and stuff like that, Jesse and Jade, and then Chucky's like, yeah, I give it 6 months. 3 if she gains weight. So funny, man. And then I love when they're choosing the weapons and everything, and, like, she's saying, like, the knife is out of style and everything, like, coming to the 90s, and then, like, he goes and grabs, like, the hammer, and she says it's predictable, but that's the first kill that Chucky ever did as a doll in the first movie, was hitting Maggie with the hammer, and she falls out the window, like, and somebody got a new car, like I said. Like, that's a clever little reference there. There's so many of those throughout this whole movie, just references to so many different things. Like, it's such a fun watch. And that's such a cool kill with the nails and everything for Kincaid and everything when he's trying to put the pot and plant it in their van and everything. Then he looks like Pinhead after that, and Chucky saying, "Why does that look so familiar?" Like, another great horror reference, like fucking Pinhead, man. And the whole after they've trying to get rid of the body and stuff, hide the bodies. Like, what would Martha Stewart say? Like, the whole Martha Stewart thing throughout this movie is fucking hysterical, man. And dolls getting stoned, hilarious. Again, how any of this works, anybody's fucking guess. Like, they got no brain. They have no brain cells for fucking pot to react with, like at work or anything. But again, voodoo. It can do anything. Fucking, it can get dolls stoned. And then that stoner in the car and stuff when Chucky's going to blow up the cop car with needle nose and stuff. And the guys in the car are smoking a joint, and then like Chucky just gives him the finger and shit, and then he's like, "Rude fucking doll, man." Dude, who is that stoned that they see a doll moving on its own and gives you the finger, and you just like laugh it off like like no one gets that stoned that they fucking see a doll walking on its own or crawling on its own, and just like doesn't freak the fuck out. Like, I don't care how stoned you are. That's so crazy. That's insane. And then just the whole thing with Jesse and Jade blaming each other and everything. Like, that shit, like, turns real quick. Like, from, like, let's get married to fucking, like, I don't fucking trust this person at all, man. Like, and you can't really blame them because who's going to, like, with all these movies, who's going to fucking think that these dolls are responsible for everything that happened? Like, if it was just you and somebody else going on a road trip or something, and there were bodies being turning up all over the place, of course you know you didn't do it, so you're going to think it's the other one. Like, there's no other option until they make themselves known that they're alive and stuff, like the dolls later on. But until then, like, it's the other person. Like, it's not me, it's fucking you. Like, there's no other option. Like, so I love how they throw that in there, them just like blaming each other and stuff. And when they make the phone calls, like one right after the other, and call David and stuff, and both say the same thing. You know, they're like, "I can't do this. Like, I really think she did it," and I really think he did it, and everything. So funny, so well done. It's one of my favorite lines in this movie. Is when the couple comes into Jesse and Jade's room at the hotel and stuff like that, where they get married, and the woman picks up the Tiffany doll and like, "Oh, this is adorable," and so then she looks at Chucky and picks him up. She's like, "Oh, this is a face only a mother can love," and he just talks in the good guy voice. "Hi, I'm Chucky, and I wouldn't talk if I were you." Dude, that's so great. That's such a great fucking line. That is so funny. That might be one of my favorite lines in the series. Like, that's so funny. And then we have probably my favorite kill in the franchise. Like, I'll have to rewatch. Like, I'm rewatching the rest of them, after this. But pretty sure, I've seen this franchise a lot. Probably my favorite kill with the whole champagne bottle Tiffany throws up at the fucking mirror on the ceiling, and the glass comes shattering down onto the couple in the waterbed, and it fucking just explodes in a mixture of water and blood, and just like the blood like washes up to Chucky's feet, and just his reaction, dude. Like, oh, he just stares like, "I love you." Dude, Brad Dourif, man, unbelievable. And then doll sex. That's it. Like, again, how, why, I don't know. All I know is that they improvised the dialogue in that scene. Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly. Like, that was all improvised. But you got a rubber, and it's like, "Tiff, I'm all made of rubber." I thought you were made of plastic. So that's so funny. Just the fact that they improvised all of that is so hysterical. But apparently, yeah. And again, you're going to explain it away, voodoo. And they become human after a while. So And him being anatomically correct, he makes that comment that he's anatomically correct, that he has a dick. Who? This fucking company was making good guy dolls with like floppy penises and stuff. Like, come on, really? Like, no, they weren't. Like, this is just for this movie. And like, she stitches him and puts them all back together and stuff. You like from other doll parts and stuff. And like, she sewed a dick back on him. Where'd she get a doll dick? Like, none of it makes sense at all, man. And it doesn't matter because it's just absolutely hysterical. And then like David shows up, and I forget where they were from in the beginning, but he got to Niagara fucking real quick. Like some of this, the time in this movie is just so fast paced. Like the way they just get from one place to another in what seems like fucking like an hour or less. Like and they're like all over the country, like in just like a matter of fucking days. It's so funny. And then David finds Warren's body after like giving the whole logical explanation that both of them like are wrong and everything, and that they're both accusing each other, but like Warren is just missing and it could be him. And then he finds the body and he takes the gun, pulls it on them. Then the dolls come to life and everything, and David freaks out and runs in the street and gets just fucking exploded by the truck, dude. Like, that's fucking awesome. Like, I mean, you could tell right before he gets hit with the CGI and stuff, but like, it still looks awesome. And then like when Jade looks back as they're driving off and you just see all the blood fucking caked on the front of the fucking truck. Awesome stuff. When they're like explaining themselves, like, and Chucky's like, I imagine at this point you guys have a lot of questions, and he starts saying like, how'd you end up like this? He's like, well, if it was a movie, it would take like 3 or 4 sequels just to do it justice. Like, like just this great meta humor in this, and even more so in the next one, in Seed of Chucky. Like, really, really good. That's so awesome. And I love how Tiffany's mother's advice about treat her well and stuff like that, and if she cooks for you, the least you can do is clean the dishes and stuff. How that originated from her at the beginning of the movie, and then it comes back used against her to pit her against Chucky and everything. That's awesome. That's so clever. I love how they did that. And when they're arguing and everything, what would Martha Stewart say? Fuck Martha Stewart. Like, so many excellent lines, man. And then the whole end scene, like I keep saying in all these movies, like they know how to, Mancini knows how to fucking set an end sequence. Like everything, with just the apartment in the first one and stuff. Yeah, it's just the apartment, but it was the first movie, and it's such a great ending. And the second one, and the doll factory and stuff at the end, and then the third one, and the haunted fucking ride attraction and stuff, and this in the cemetery. Like, it's just every ending in this franchise is just set in such a awesome location that fits each movie's like tone and feel and everything like that. And we have the whole thing of her, which is so awesome too, that she brings this back, of when she was watching Bride of Frankenstein, as I said, and she said, heard the line that we belong dead, and she repeats that to Chucky, and says like, Chucky, like, we belong dead, and stabs him and everything, and they go into their whole little fight together, and she's burnt to a crisp after they crash the fucking van and everything. It looks awesome too, with her like all burnt up like that. Like, looks like Chucky from the first movie, just a female version. Then even he comes back up and he stabs Tiffany, and he's like, she's like, I love you, Chucky, or something like that. He's like, get off my knife, and just like pushes her off. So good. And I love how Chucky's like freaking out at his own skeleton, like this psychotic serial killer who has killed people, so many people in such vicious ways, gets knocked into his own grave, onto his skeleton, and he starts freaking the fuck out. Like, like, that's what does it for this psychotic murderer. Like, that's the line. Like, not seeing a couple explode into fucking like a river of blood or anything else in the rest of the series, but like falling on his own skeleton that's the line. That's That's what makes him fucking freak out. Like, that's so funny, man. And then he's fucking running around the grave and stuff and like, get me out of here, get me out of here. Oh, that's so funny. And then, like, whatever happens to Jesse and Jade? I don't think they ever bring that up. And maybe they do at the beginning of Seed. Like, I'll find out in a few minutes. But, like, I don't remember if they mentioned that or anything. Like, I don't think we ever hear from them again. I could be wrong, but like I said, I'll find out in a few minutes, and I'll mention it in the video for Bride of Chucky. And we have the ending with Tiffany giving birth when the other cop, the detective, shows up, and he clears their names and everything, and tells them to go home. Jesse and Jade, they're innocent, and saying, like, with all these movies, it's like, you're never gonna fucking believe this, to who he's on the phone with, the other cops or whatever. And then he sees Tiffany's body and stuff, and then he just gets the shit scared out of him when she comes back to like life and starts fucking giving birth. And then just the blood shooting out of between her legs onto his face, and his reaction and everything is priceless. That's so good. And then just the baby coming out with the sharp teeth and everything. Like, they did a great job designing the baby and everything. So good. And then he just pops out and fucking jumps on the detective's face and eats his face off, we're assuming. And the end, man, I mean, it's such a great movie, like, such a fun watch. Like I said, Child's Play 2 is my favorite in the franchise, but if I had to say the most fun watch, it's absolutely this movie. Like, 100%. Just a riot from beginning to end. And that's what I said, I don't get people who hate on Seed so much but love this movie. Like, I can see people who love the first three and like Curse and Cult because they're more serious. I mean, you can't really even say that with a straight face because they're all ridiculous. But like, yeah, they're more horror leaning than comedy. This and Seed are just straight like horror comedies. And I know a lot of people don't like comedy in their horror. So that I understand. Like, for people who just don't like this and the next one. But for people who love this movie and hate Bride of Chucky, I really don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, someone explain it to me. Like, if somebody, if anyone who's watching this has that opinion that they love Bride of Chucky but they don't like Bride of Chucky at all, leave a comment, explain. Like I always say that, like, everyone's 100% entitled to their opinion and thoughts and everything like that. I'll never say you're wrong for anything. But I would just like to hear why from like somebody, like why they love this movie, but they dislike to hate, which is such a strong word, and I never use it for like any movies, unless it's so bad and no redeeming qualities. But yeah, like, but then severely dislike Seed. Even though it has the same type of over-the-top humor and like just, I don't know, like they're just like so, they're like twins in a womb for me. Like this one and Bride of Chucky. Like they're like this, just a complete same type of style and everything. But we'll talk more about Seed in a little bit. I'm gonna watch it now. So this was such a fun rewatch, and I know Seed will be too. So I'll see you guys in a bit with Bride of Chucky. All right, take care.